To our viewers, thank you for joining us. My name is Kudzai Madaizi, and with me is my colleague, Mr. Libert Chikarapo. We are both students at Chinhoyi University of Technology. We are studying towards our Master of Science in Big Data Analytics. And today we are here to demonstrate to you how to use hacking tools in a more ethical way. So for the benefit of those who are new to the domain, to start by giving a brief description of what hacking is. Hacking basically is the process of gaining access into systems, exploiting the vulnerabilities with the aim of maintaining steady access to the system. Whereas in line with the purpose of the presentation, we then define ethical hacking as an authorized attempt to gain access to a computer system or application or data. The intention of ethically hacking a system is then to assess the vulnerabilities that are within that particular system or an application, so that you then improve by putting mitigatory factors in place, maybe to protect an organization or ourselves from hackers. You find that in the world that we're in, which is a hyper information technology sensitive, there has been the emergence of different characters, so many good people and so many bad people, and the hackers have become so prevalent, manipulating systems that are weak. And we also probably try to help you to understand the types of hackers that are in existence of today. There are so many hackers that are there, but for the presentation, we will limit ourselves to basically three, which are white hat hackers, and these are good guys who use their skills for legal purposes. And we also have blatant hackers. These are the so-called bad guys. These guys actually use their skill to gain, for malicious gain. Probably they can hack a particular system that may be of a bank in order to exploit funds for their own good. And then we also have what we call gray hat hackers. This is a type of hackers who gains unauthorized access to the system, but they do not behave like the black hat hackers. They then inform an organization or a particular company or an individual that your system has got a number of vulnerabilities. But also there has to be a gray line, because if a person can do that, depending on the attitude or the motive for that person on that particular day, can also maybe drift into a blatant hacker. So oftentimes hackers, they exploit open networks and then use hacking tools like Nmap, which is a network map, to access servers of companies or your personal server, and then retrieve files or a file containing hashes for all employees or your hashes, which they then exploit in the near future. With that one, you shall also see in the practical presentation that we will do in the coming minutes. Normally, maybe as you are also aware, Windows passwords are stored as hash algorithms. And if I use my password as plain text, e.g. my name is Kudzai, just use Kudzai as my password, that password is converted into an algorithm in Windows, which is the same algorithm that then the hacker is looking for, so that it then reconverts the password to plain text, and then access either our network, my computer, whatever they are planning to exploit. So once one is the hash file, they then use each hash to generate corresponding password, as I've just alluded to. And then for the purpose of this presentation, we shall be using Hashcat, which is an ethical hacking tool. And also this tool is used in advanced password recovery. The tool can be used to hack Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. And also, before we get into the practical part of it, we downloaded our tool, Hashcat, from www.hashcat.net. And Hashcat, the tool, can perform various attacks, but the major ones being brute force attacks, dictionary attack, fingerprint attack. And when you download the Hashcat file, I believe some would want to try the process on their own at home. The file downloads and comes in as a zipped file. You unzip the file and select the location where you would want to store each and every process that you will then go through. And during the process of doing the exercise, we actually added a word list to our documentation. We downloaded a ROQ file. By ROQ file, just referring to a file that contains possible passwords that can be used by users. And this file contains words near or around 40 million. In our little research, we actually noted that this file was actually generated from yesteryear hackers, basing on the thinking of the ordinary person, you and I, because we don't like complicated passwords. We are bound to use names, our first names, our DOBs, our kids' names as our password. And for probably just to show you how Hashcat works, I will hand you over to my colleague, Mr. Chikarapo, who is waiting on the sidelines just to take you through the practical processes and probably give you a brief explanation of why we took this route instead of taking a different route maybe you could have been aware of. To you, Mr. Chikarapo, can you go ahead and share what we have?
Thank you, Mr. Kudzi. Don't be confused by my hat. I'm not a black hacker, despite wearing a black hat. So my activities would be white. They will not be black. Thank you. So I'll start maybe from where Mr. Kudzi left, starting with the issue where he touched on the area that we are going to exploit. So we'll try to hack a Windows password. So in a Windows operating system, the hash algorithms are stored in a folder within the Windows operating systems. So if you go to this PC, then you go to Windows, then you go to say where it says system 32 config. You see a file called SAM. This one contains the hash algorithms for the operating system, if it's a Windows operating system. Are you seeing me from that end, Mr. Kudzi?
Yes, you can go ahead, Mr. Chikarapo. We can clearly see, and I believe the viewers are also much.
Okay, thank you. As a demonstration of where we found this application, if you go to hashcat.net, you see these codes, this first dialog box where you say download. So there is Hashcat binaries and hashcode sources. So you download the first one, which says Hashcat binaries. Okay. So this is the one that we downloaded and we saved it on our desktop. So this is our file on the desktop, Hashcat 6.2.6. So if you open it, you see quite a number of folders and files. So what we're going to do is we are going to create, we're going to use the RockQ text to exploit our Windows operating system. But the challenge that we may have here is the RockQ text file. RockQ text file has got 136 megabytes, or it's huge rather. So we are going to use a simple text file with only one password. We are quite fortunate though, because through Nmap, our Nmap managed to get the password for the Windows user, and it had only one password. So we are going to name it passwords. Meaning this text file contains our passwords. So the passwords, or the password that we are going to use is princess. We save our password. Like as highlighted by Mr. Kuzi, Windows does not store a password in plain text like it is now as princess. It will store it as a hash algorithm. So we want to generate a hash algorithm for this password. So we create our hash algorithm and save it in here, right? So to create a hash algorithm, we go to an online site called MD5 hash generator. And we type our password. So want to copy it so as to avoid typing errors. Yes, so I'm copying our password. I'm going with it on the internet under the banner MD5 generator and generate some hash algorithms there. So what MD5 does is it generates MD5 hash codes and SHA-1 hash codes. For our purposes, we are going to use MD5 hash algorithm. So we copy this and we save it in the hash file that we created. So we open our hash file and save our MD5 algorithm. So we are done with the folder configuration. So Hashcat is accessed through command prompt. So we just type command prompt. Then for our presentation, I've shortened the process and saved some codes that we are going to use here and explain each and every step of it. So our folder is saved on the desktop. So we type cd desktop, then /hashcat 6.2.6. This is just to show the location of our Hashcat password recovery software. Then we press enter. Mr. Kudzi, are you following? Did you get this part?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am. I'm with you.
We just try to identify the location of our tool, which is Hashcat. Yes. Then I'll also copy this other code here and explain later as well. Then I paste it. Yes. So what I just did there is I copied from this point going that direction. So hashcat.xe, this is the application that we are going to use. If you open the folder, you see hashcat.xe written. Under application, we have our application written hashcat.xe. It's just our application. Then M minus M here is showing the type of attack that we are going to implement. In our case, we are going to implement a dictionary attack. Then 0 is for Windows. Windows is 1000, but you can use 0. Then minus A is an attack on the minus A is just showing that it's an attack. Then 0. So if you go to the documentation online, you notice that the types of attack starts with the plain text, then combination, then what? So they start from 0, 1, 2, 3. So if it's just a plain text, you put 0. If it's a combination, you put 1. And depending on what the documentation will be saying, you put the corresponding figure here. Then
figure there, yeah.
Yes, the source. So we also highlighted that on our code, the hash algorithm that we had created in our folder, which is hash.txt, the one that we created using the MD5 hash algorithm that we obtained online. Then we also generated in fact, we had a text file containing a simple password, or the one that we used in as an alternative to the one which had 14 million simple words, which had only one word. So it was just to save time. So I ran this. So if you analyze the processes here, you'll see that the software or the package managed to match the algorithm, which is which is a series of these simple codes with a simple word princess, which was in the plain text. So if we were trying to access the ROCU file, it would match each and every word with algorithms that you would have found in the client server, matching each and every one of it, giving the plain text for each. Thank you, viewers. I don't know, Mr. Kudzi, if you have anything to ask there. So if you go down there, it's showing that it identified the plain text as princess. Thank you, viewers. Mr. Kudzi.
Thank you, viewers.
Thank you.
Most welcome, sir.